Hi, my name is Vasiliki Kalkani. I teach business studies to Year 5 high school, and this is the second year that we're implementing an innovative program on entrepreneurship in secondary education. Major obstacle in introducing innovation education that has to do with entrepreneurship is that the spirit or the culture of entrepreneurship is absent of an education system, maybe from a country in general. So you could be talking about exciting and innovative things that have to do with entrepreneurship in the context of a school project to students and families that they've never heard about it before. It might prove that it's extremely difficult to convince teachers and parents to get involved and support a project or an idea on entrepreneurship. Another problem is the lack of reliable resources that are easily accessible and available. There's extremely interesting material on entrepreneurship online, but sometimes it's difficult and time-consuming to locate it and use it for a school project. We need to build teaching communities at local, national and international level that encourage innovation through content sharing. Most of it, we need a systematic and certified way to communicate best practices in entrepreneurship, in education and beyond.
Hi, I'm Mihaela Garabet. I'm a teacher of physics and ICT at National College Grigore Moisil from Bucharest, Romania. I'm here to tell you a story today. I will tell you the story of introducing ICT in education. The story began 17, maybe 20 years ago in Romania. First I was a learner. When I saw the first computer in my house, I knew it will change my future, definitely and forever. At the beginning I was just learning. I learned how to use a computer for my own use, but in a few years I managed to become a teacher trainer. Now I'm working also in the field of helping other teachers to use ICT in their lessons. I have also made my PhD thesis covering the subject of new approaches of physics experiment in the school, in the middle school especially, and high school. I am also trying to convince my colleague to use ICT because I believe it's a great opportunity that the 21st century is giving to the educational systems. I also worked in the field of making educational content, digital educational content, and in Romania we are using today e-books, we are using digital lessons, we are using Web 2.0 application and all kind of stuff which are related to the new technologies. As I already told you, I came from an innovative school where the benefits of training my colleagues in subjects like using ICT in different kind of lessons are very clear, statuated today. Even in such situation, I'm there with my colleagues every day. Some of them are still researching what concerning the new technologies, and their results to use robotics, to use tablets, to use e-books, to use, I don't know, all kind of applications, Web 2.0 and so on. But I'm very optimistic because I know that in a few years, if we will talk again after 5 years from today, I could tell you that all my colleagues already use tablets and e-books, and all of them are using robots in their classrooms, and all the students are very happy, and my colleagues also, and most important, the parents of our students are very pleased to have their children in a school like the school where I came from.
Hi, my name is Eric Domonchot. I work at Basil Abbey School in the south of England, and I've been, the school has been part of the ODS program now for a year. We're a small, independent secondary school. In fact, we also have a nursery and a prep school, which is located at different sites. We are in Battle, near Hastings, in the south of England. We have a total of 300 students. That's 250 at the senior school and 50 students at the prep school and a nursery. And the type of answers I'll give you today will include colleagues' feedback from the nursery all the way up to the senior school, including the IT manager, who has been kind enough to help us along the journey of innovation, digital learning innovation. Now, your first question, what kind of change, innovation did we try to implement? First, we'll talk on behalf of our IT manager, who's had to struggle, you can imagine, a very old building, with neglected infrastructure. He developed a new virtualized system that allowed us to make great stride in laying out fiber optic cables for the school, and therefore increasing our bandwidth. His major obstacle first was the firewall and the wave filters, which have been set wrongly, and I'm sure we're not the only one who has had to deal with this sort of trouble in the past. We had vast amount of bandwidth taken over by illegal torrents, literally pouring down single PCs. So he had to deal with that, first of all, in order to make more bandwidth available for us. He also chose to migrate all the Windows XP, we were on XP a couple of years ago, to Windows 7. Now you will know that XP will cease to be supported by Microsoft in 2014. That's a gigantic step. It was a gigantic step for us, small school. I can only imagine how difficult it might be for much larger schools, such as others in the program. As I said, it's next stage, which has helped us gain fellowship, if you like, into the ODS partnership, was to virtualize the entire infrastructure. And on the other side of the coin, of course, is teachers. We're keen to start, if you like, e-portfolio as early as possible. Now, in the nursery, we've deployed a system called Tapestry, which allows us to track students from day one, if you like, and we'd hope to use some of this data over when the students go to the prep school and then eventually the senior school. So the change, I guess, was to deploy that sort of e-portfolio very early on. We also use similar systems up in the prep school, where we use YouTube channels which have been with the right amount of so to speak, passwords and coding. Our prime concern, of course, is children's safety and who access the data and how we can control that. So that's very important for us to make sure we have all the safeguards in place. Moving on, what was the need for that change? Well, going back to the view of an IT manager, if you like, is that simply technology moves on at an alarming pace. And if you're not very careful, you'll be left behind. And students come to schools now expecting a certain level of digital fluency. Okay, they want access to the internet, they want wireless access, they want the latest or access to the latest gadget. If they can, they will request that. So we have to make sure we make decisions that don't cost too much for the school, but of course will help satisfy that need. Now, of course, technology is not the answer, and everyone and many lessons I've observed quite often it actually is more harmful. The teacher will hide behind the technology rather than teach. So that needs to be addressed too. So if we put that aside, looking at the problem as it is, what was the need for change? Technology is moving at an alarming pace. We need to keep up. As far as teachers are concerned, what is the need for change? Well, of course, e-portfolios allows good record keeping, and of course we can include parents in the loop so they can look at their child's progress in real time. Of course, we can reduce staff time. You know, whilst perhaps in the past you take pictures, you would collect evidence, you cut them, you file them. Now with an iPad or any tablets, you can take your pictures, you can upload that into whatever e-portfolio you're using, and it's done. Of course, it takes time to set up, and I'll talk to that in a minute. Cost, therefore, might also go down over a long term. No, you're not printing as much. You know, just that is a factor to consider. And it's, being a manager myself allows me to, I must say, keep a better track of my own staff and see what they're up to, and monitor their progress there too. The most important, I think, it allows easier tracking of children's progress and to identify gaps in the learning, so you can quickly deal with that and rectify the situation as and when it comes. Now, what major obstacles did we face? Quite a lot. Still having to struggle and face a few. Reluctance to change. Now, across the board, that's been a problem. Teachers do not trust IT in general. Not all of them, let's not generalize this, but often there's a lack of trust. Founded, unfounded, I'll leave up to you. Staff interest, as I said, lack of trust, lack of interest. You know, why change a system that works already? You know, if the teacher gets good grades, why would he or she have to adopt an entire new way of teaching? That's a problem that we've had to deal with. Well, of course, getting the equipment to start with, the iPads, the tablets, the IWBs, everything takes time. Not many schools have access to that technology. Not enough. There's nowhere. Often you'll find teachers say, we haven't got enough material, software, hardware to use too. The tracking is still tricky. Now, eventually we'd love to take a student in year 2, say for example 4 years old, and track his or her progress over the entire time they are in school, from the nursery to the prep school to the senior school. That is our goal. Of course, analysis and tracking is an issue, and until that's been dealt with properly, and that system that will account for every single child, and then we have that will be another obstacle we will face. Access to internet from parents is an issue there too. Not all parents have access to the internet, so that's something to bear in mind. Was the change sustainable? Who did we ask for help? Well, training. Once you get the training in place, teachers gain confidence and tend to use it more and more. Security is an issue. You need to make sure credentials and all the site's security measures are vetted by whoever is in charge of that aspect in your school before you do anything. Financing is an issue too. Trying to get all of the money to do this has been a struggle, but we've managed. Parents are a key stakeholders. They must be included in the loop. Otherwise, yes, the change is sustainable. Providing you take the right steps now, I believe that you can save money over long term and by virtualizing your computer network, and of course in terms of tracking and monitoring of students, I think technology is the key, and access to mobile devices will make this dream come reality.
Hi, I'm Paula Furtado and I teach in Matilde Rosa Araújo. It's a secondary school. I teach physics and chemistry to students with age between 13 and 15 years old. I try to introduce a more practical and collaborative teaching of astronomy in the 7th grade, introducing hands-on activities, Stellario and Celestia as support programs in the classes, and a regular participation in international projects like the International Asteroid Search Campaign and the Dark Skies Rangers. Nowadays, all the teachers of my department work and involve their students in these programs. Every year, we do Astro Matilde, a night of astronomy for the parents. But the need to change. Our school is in a disadvantaged area where the students had bad results and sometimes bad behavior. And it was necessary to change things. I did formation with Núcleo and took some contacts with projects like ODS and GTTP. With this, my classes have changed and the results have changed too, for better. Initially, the other teachers like the idea, but don't feel confident to change things. They did nuclear formation as well, plus a more collaborative work, which proved to be important to improve the teacher's confidence. Our major problem is that we have to teach a great amount of things in such a short period of time, which doesn't allow us to use this method to different unities of the subject.
Казвам се Бисера Гърджелиска, учител съм по математика, информатика и информационни технологии. Работя в 39-то СОУ Петър Динаков, София. При нас се обучават ученици на възраст от 5 до 19 години. Имаме паралелки с изучаване на английски език и разширено изучаване на изобразително изкуство. В гимназиален етап се обучават ученици в профил технологичен английски език с изучаване на информатика и информационни технологии. 39-то СОУ е от първите училища, разкрили такъв профил в София. Училището разполага с 2 компютърни кабинета. На разположение на преподавателите са лаптопи и проектори. В цялото училище има безжична интернет връзка. През тази година училището се включи в националната програма ИКТ в училище и ще получи 13 терминала по тази програма за обзавеждането на компютърен кабинет. Всичко това позволява ползването на нови технологии и практики в училище за подобряване на качеството на обучение. Учителите ползват компютърна техника за подготовка на своите уроци. Те използват своите лаптопи и проектори, за да могат да обогатят и разнообразят преподавания материал. Учат се да споделят информация помежду си, ползват електронни учебници. Когато информацията е онагледена и се представя по съвременен начин, учениците усвояват по-лесно учебния материал и постигат по-добри резултати. През цялото време полагаме усилия в насока промяна на мисленето, както сред учениците, така и сред учителите, и търсене на начини за комуникация, споделяне на информация и нови добри практики. Като Microsoft Live Edu с набор от услуги, хоствани от Microsoft. Също така сайт с учебни материали и работни файлове, изготвени специално за нуждите на училището. Dropbox, Google сайтове, Google документи. Всички усетихме колко е добре да ползваме готови или създадени от нас материали и то от всяка свързана с интернет точка. За учениците това се оказа разнообразен, достъпен и интересен начин за получаване на нови знания. В работата си ползваме сайтове с полезна и интересна информация, онлайн учебници, упражнения и тестове, националния образователен портал, енциклопедични ресурси от Знам.бг, сайта Виртуална България, мрежата на учителите новатори Teacher.bg, материали от общността Начално образование, онлайн ръководство за веб програмиране W3Schools.com за нуждите на паралелките с информатика и информационни технологии. Основно за нас, учителите, е да разберем необходимостта от ползването на нови технологии и възможността за съхранение, споделяне на данни и материали, както с учениците, така и с свои колеги, и то не само в България. Някои от колегите имат страх от новите технологии, други смятат, че е проблем владеенето на английски език, а някои се страхуват, че така навлизат в непознати води и може да изгубят контрол върху ситуацията. Но такава е учителската професия. Тя е предизвикателство и всеки учител трябва да полага усилия, за да може да се развива, а оттам и учениците и училището. Учителите все пак са основният двигател на промените в образованието. Учители по английски език от 39-то СОУ посещават обучителни курсове в Англия и се запознават с различни образователни програми и методи на преподаване, срещат се с колеги от различни държави и обменят опит. След завръщането си, те прилагат новостите, с които са се запознали и така работят за повишаването на знанията и на мотивацията на учениците. Това е още едно доказателство, че всички печелят при споделянето на опит. Заедно с госпожа Николова и госпожа Пепиева от 39-то СОУ участваме в пилотната фаза на проекта ОДС за България – Open Discovery Space. Open Discovery Space е една страхотна възможност за всички в сферата на образованието. Това е отворена, иновативна платформа, която свързва ученици и учители от Европа с много дигитални учебни ресурси, които сега са налични или предстои да бъдат създадени в отделните държави. Така електронни материали могат да достигнат до много повече ученици и учители в цяла Европа. Ще се радвам да видя една платформа, където материалите са подбрани и носят добри образователни практики. В работата си по подготовка на уроците, често ми се налага да преглеждам десетки, понякога стотици сайтове, да намеря подходяща информация. Обикновено това е свързано с сваляне на файлове, тяхното преглеждане, така губя много време, а наистина не е ясно дали сваленият материал ще ми свърши работа. Благодарение на Open Discovery Space ще имаме възможност свободно да черпим информация, да ползваме различни инструменти, да създаваме собствени онлайн библиотеки, да създаваме общности, а и сами да предоставяме учебни материали, добри практики, техники. Учители от различни страни ще могат да обменят опит помежду си, някои с добри идеи за съдържание, други с добри идеи по начина на изграждане на платформата. Да мога да вляза в контакт с преподаватели от други страни в Европа и да обменя мисли и материали с тях е голям шанс за мен. Смятам, че ще бъде много интересно и за учениците да осъществят контакти и да работят по общи проекти с връстници от други държави. Дори може да се организират онлайн състезания. Много съм обнадеждена от този нов шанс, който се предоставя на всички, считащи себе си за част от процеса на образованието. И чакам с нетърпение възможността да работя за тази идея и да я видя да се осъществява.